Hello everyone, welcome back to Notes of the North Talks, a series where we get to know our amazing local Canadian composer talent. Today I am here with Dr. Kelly Marie Murphy. Thank you so much, Kelly, for taking the time to speak with me today.
My pleasure, Brianna.
First and foremost, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background. So where in Canada do you call home?
I really consider Calgary to be home. All of my family is still in the area, southern Alberta, Calgary, and west of Calgary. I moved there when I was 13, and I left Calgary to do my PhD when I was 27. So I really, that was, up until then, that was the place that I had lived the longest. My dad was in the military, so we moved essentially every 3 years. So he retired after we were posted to Calgary, and that's how I ended up being there for such a long period of time. Like at that point in my life, I was like, oh my goodness, we're not moving again. So amazing.
Awesome. Is there any place else that you feel connected to or that may have shaped your life and your work?
Absolutely. A few places, actually. So now I've lived in Ottawa for about 20 years, so it's starting to feel like home. It's so different. Like growing up, not growing up, but being in Alberta, if you're walking on a sidewalk and there's somebody like down 3 blocks down across the street, you give them a howdy. in Ottawa, not so much. And it's, I've been, okay, people may not make eye contact, and I'm still kind of, even after 20 years, I'm dealing with that. But so it has started to feel like home. I feel connected to the UK because that's where I did my PhD. That's why I left Calgary, and I guess cultural roots maybe. I also lived in the Washington, D.C. area for about 6 years. So, trial by fire, essentially going from a sleepy little village in England to the hustle and bustle of Washington, D.C. And it was like shocking, about as shocking as going from Calgary, which looks like it just came out of a box. It's all shiny and polished, to go up to Northern England to do my PhD.
What a transition.
So, yeah.
Right. So how did you first get into composition?
Really by accident. I didn't think of it. I maybe like a lot of people, I was taking piano lessons, and eventually I started singing lessons when I was 16. And so I guess I knew I was a musician, hadn't considered composing as anything that one could do, because of course, when you're doing this stuff, who are the composers that you play? You play Mozart, you play Beethoven, you're playing dead white European men. So I was like, it didn't occur to me. Along the way, one of my piano teachers had me, gave me this little manuscript book, and we've all seen those, the little ones. And he would say, write 8 bars of something or 16 bars of something. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that was kind of fun. But again, didn't really put the pieces together that this could be a thing, because I didn't see myself reflected in the Royal Conservatory, books or anything that I was seeing on stage or whatever. So I eventually taught myself to play guitar, like as in to chord and strum, and started songwriting, I guess. That got me a little closer. When I was in high school, I played in the jazz band, and I started to do choral arrangements, vocal jazz arrangements. And there's where I really felt a connection. I thought, okay, I can do this. I'm interested in this. And I actually ended up applying to the Berklee School of Music, which is in Boston. And it was, at that time, maybe still, one of the, the places to study jazz. And they had a vocal jazz arranging thing. course, I couldn't afford to go. I was accepted, yay, but I couldn't afford to go, boo. And so I went to my academic advisor at the University of Calgary, and she said, well, if you're interested in this, why don't you take a composition course? And so I did, kind of thinking that that was going to be a direct path to becoming a vocal jazz arranger. But that was not the case. And I was like, what is all of this? What are you asking me to do? Why am I here, sort of thing? But it turned out to be exactly what I needed and has been my career since that time.
Blessing in disguise, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. I mean, experiment, do things.
Amazing. So now getting into a little bit more of your musical style. On your website, your music is described as Bartók on steroids, among other descriptions. Could you please tell me a little about the origins of this reference?
Well, I mean, okay, so I people hear my music and I guess, when you're writing about something, you have to describe it. So these descriptions come, and I think I like that one, Bartók on steroids, because in my sort of musical family tree, like I studied with Alan Bell, and Alan Bell studied with Violet Archer, and Violet Archer studied with Bartók, and Hindemith's on that chain as well. So I thought, this is pretty amazing. And it was one of those things, like playing piano and getting to music school, that was fine. But then in history class, we would, hear things, and like Bartók, I'd never played Bartók, and never, I had kind of a sheltered experience with music before university. So hearing these composers like Bartók and Stravinsky and stuff, it was like, wow, this is awesome. So I kind of like that. And I think it comes from, I tend to write energetic music. Like my music is either going really fast or it's really placid. There's no middle ground with me. So maybe as I age, I'm going to experience a middle ground. But I think that's where it comes from.
Ah, very interesting. What is one of your works that you feel best encompasses your musical style?
It might be a piece that I wrote for the Griffin Trio. So we were all young and beautiful when starting our careers, a long time ago. And they commissioned me, and it was their first commission. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And I had really not much of an idea what a piano trio was. And so there they were. And I wrote them a piece called Give Me Phoenix Wings to Fly. And it has, it's the myth of the phoenix and rising up from your own ashes and rebuilding and all of those types of things, which, kind of resonated with me on a philosophical level. And trying to put that into music, I think that's the, the goal, really. You're looking at things and hearing things and experiencing things, and then asking, well, how do I put that into music? So I think that might be one of the pieces that kind of encompasses everything, because there are these two outer movements that just go, go, go. There's a lot of energy, and, it's the ADD in me. And then this middle movement, just very placid as things gather. So I think that might be the one that kind of encompasses me stylistically.
Definitely touches both ends of that spectrum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you grew up on Canadian Armed Forces bases all across Canada.
Yes.
As someone who has had the chance to see so much of Canada, how have your diverse surroundings influenced your music or creative process?
Well, I mean, it's quite something, isn't it? When you realize how huge this country is. And I can remember, when I was a student in England, and I lived for a while in northern England, and then moved closer to London, and then was commuting up to the University of Leeds for my composition lessons and whatnot. And people were just like, what? You're traveling so far. I'm like, I can travel. I can go back and forth in a day. That's nothing. I'm from Canada. It takes hours and hours and hours to get anywhere. So I think just realizing how big our country is, and that it's not just people that look like me or people that look like you. It's just so many people, so many cultures, and I love that. I love experiencing all of that. So I think that was something that I learned, and I can tell you that when I moved to England, I was really excited to leave Canada and leave Calgary, but then it didn't take long before, gosh, I was homesick. Being from Calgary and always knowing where west was, because there are Rocky Mountains staring at you, and if you're looking at the Rockies, it's west, and just missing all of that. Also, I lived in I've lived in Nova Scotia. I've lived in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan was one of those places where you realize, as a kid, I would go out at night and lay on the ground and look up, and you can actually see the curvature of the earth. It's so, there's stars and just the vastness, I think, was something that I think it influences us in some way. Anyone who's an artist in Canada, I think we feel that.
Mm. If you could describe the Canadian composition style in 3 words, what would they be?
That's really a tough question. Okay, so vast, I guess. We are a young immigrant nation. And yet we have the indigenous roots that take us back time immemorial. So there's that quirky. We're a huge country with varied experience. So rural, urban, and anything in between. I mean, you can live in a lighthouse, or you can live in a forest, an old growth forest. You can live on a boat, like all of these things. And let's see, special. I think we're unique, and so much of Canadian experience is denying that we are anything like the U.S. But it's true. We are not like the U.S. We are different, and we are special. So I think those might be my 3 words to describe Canadian culture and Canadian music, maybe.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have a specific work that really represents this Canadian style?
Let's see. Okay, so, like we've talked about, I've lived in many parts of the country. So I've known from an early age just how big and how different things are, like the different accents and the, different scenery and all of that. And I think that maybe a piece like 1,000 Natural Shocks. This was a piece that I wrote for the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra. And it uses, I give conch shells to the trumpet section. And this was kind of inspired by puja ceremonies, which are, part of Buddhist and Hindu culture, not part of my culture, I guess, but because I'm Canadian, I feel like, I've learned about that, I've experienced it, sort of thing. So that's something. And maybe another piece might be an El Oscuro es todo uno, which was a piece, it's a double concerto for harp and cello, and it's based on Sephardic Jewish music. Again, not part of my cultural background, but just so beautiful. And I think being Canadian allows me to experience and embrace all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I would say.
I truly admire how you're really embracing this multiculturalism. What do you think is the role that composers play in Canada's cultural scene?
So I think I think the role of any artist is to observe and comment. So you're observing the world around you and commenting on that in, your medium. So I feel that's how I view my job, and that can be many things. It can be it can be political, it can be current events, it can be landscape, anything. But I think we have to observe, and that makes us, a lot of us anyway, introverts. We're okay being on our own and okay taking that role as an observer. So that's what I feel is important. And this is what brings our culture to other places in the world. If we were just, writing whatever or painting whatever, maybe it doesn't make as big of an impact when we take it elsewhere. There's something special about, identifying what is around you as an individual and observing that and commenting on that.
Well, no matter how quiet, the music speaks volumes, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? It can. And I've had that, people go, I didn't know you were so small, stuff like that. And, you just have to go, okay, as a writer of anything, music, words, whatever, as a writer, you can be whoever. You can portray a character. You can, it's all of that. And I love that about my job, like just being whoever I want to be.
That's beautiful. A little bit of a even tougher question now. What has been your biggest challenge so far on your musical journey?
Oh man. Okay. So I think it has to do with self-doubt. Okay. And this is an important part of maybe anybody's life. I can't say. I mean, as an artist, I guess I'm viewing it this way, but just getting up every day and writing and creating and not kind of dismissing an idea because, is it good enough? Is that the right idea? Like it's working against the self-doubt. That is the most challenging thing. There are always worries, but I feel like I've done this for long enough that hopefully even on my worst day, I'm still doing something that is good, that is valuable. But that is the struggle. Even, after so many years, I still wonder, is this okay? Is this piece what I wanted it to be? But that's the biggest thing. And I think maybe everybody can identify with that. It's nothing to do with, it's nothing to do with anything else. It's just my own self-critical nature, which you need in order to put the best thing forward. But it can, as we all know, be kind of crippling. If it goes too far, you can spiral down and go, no, this is not good. I'm not good. All of that. So working against that is tricky.
Not letting it overwhelm your mind.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. You have to make judgments always, and we all do. I think in anything that we do, and anything that we're serious about. You make critical decisions, but it's not letting it get on top of you.
Beautiful. What do you see as the future of composition in Canada?
Oh, well, I hope it's going to be vital and amazing. And I think now that I'm, I'm older and I'm sitting on juries and I'm hearing things, and I feel very positive. There's just a lot going on in Canada, and I think that that's beautiful. I want to hear all that. I want to hear what the younger generations are doing, and I want to hear what they're connected to. And I'm feeling quite positive about it, actually.
That's amazing. To conclude, is there any message you would like to share at all with young Canadians that might be listening?
Okay, well, study. Whether it is, formally or informally, read things, look at people, observe, go to an art gallery, do something like that, study things, be a part of your community, get to know the old, the young, the in-between. What's going on? What are they thinking about? How does that differ from what you're thinking about? Ask those types of questions. Claim your voice. I think we all have something to say, and find a way to say that, communicate that, and be a part of our political system, and use your voice that way. Use your voice as an artist. All of those things are really important.
So well put. And that's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Really my pleasure, Brianna.